Hi, my name is Dan, and in this video I'm going to show a simple technique for starting to block out levels in Unreal. It's part of a series that I'm doing on level editing in Unreal, which is in turn part of a larger suite of videos I'm doing about the Unreal Engine, and this particular playlist is intended as an introduction to Unreal for people who've not used it before, or maybe not very much, and it's focused on level editing. Okay, so in this video, what I mean by blocking out a level is getting a quick and dirty layout for an environment, and there's some simple things that you can do to get started, but the thing that I want to show you particularly is the trick of having a drawn layout and how to import that into Unreal and be able to make use of it. So I've got something that I prepared earlier, which is this picture, which was obviously done on in a lined book. And it's not easy to see, so what I'm going to do is zoom in on that. Now, in the previous videos in this series, I realised that I have been talking about zooming in and zooming out, and it's not been working now. I hope that this is now working because I've changed the settings in the recording software so that when it zooms, it should also be zoomed for the recording as well as what I see on the screen. And if it's not, then I'm going to have to rethink that. Anyway, so this is a kind of quick street layout. I've got buildings around the edges. I'm not imagining there's the full depth of these buildings here. And in fact, in the layout, I might just end up with facades, just frontages for these. It's not entirely realistic because it kind of blocks the player off quite a bit, but game environments often do that. And it's just all done in my scribble, and as you can see, with a purple coloured pencil. So we've got a road, we've got buildings around the outside. I'm just going to come down a little bit, and we've got in the middle a garden here, and so that's meant to be railed off with a gateway into it, and then a grassy area, and then there's a path all the way around the central bit, and then we've got various other buildings, and then the two roads that go out. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to basically import this into Unreal and use it as a floor, and this is really easy to do. So let's just close that, and we're going to go into the file structure. So that, remember, where do I want to be? Tutorials, here we go, this is the thing. And that's the file that we've just had open. It's just got a strange name because I took a photo from on my phone and then transferred it across. And I'm just going to put this in the content area. I've got my content here, and I'm just going to copy it across into there. And it's a texture, and Unreal, an image. Unreal detects that. So down here in the bottom right, I'm going to use my zoom in again. It asks me if I want to import this file, and I say import. And what it does is it actually creates a nice asset file from that. So if I go into my content, I've now got, hopefully, that is now turned into an Unreal asset texture. Double click on it, you can see it, there we go. And then we're going to use this as a material on the floor, and I've just got a blank floor here that I've been using in previous tutorials, and we discovered earlier that if you just drag a texture onto a surface, it automatically creates a material for you for that. Now, so you can see that's appeared. And that's useful. The proportions aren't quite right because this was a square floor. So, and the book, as you saw, so it's actually an A4 book. So this is A3 size, but the proportions for A4 and A3 and A2 and all these are the same. Every time you cut it in half, it keeps the same proportions. It's quite clever. shape. So I'm just going to scale up. It's the Y that's been compressed. And the proportions are 1 to 1.414, which is root 2. So I'm just going to change this to 141, which is near enough. And that'll stretch it out. And there we can see we've got this shape. So I'm just going to quickly press play and have a very quick run around this environment before I start putting some elements in to block it out. So I've got a character in. You can see we're now running on this huge page, which is great. Let's just press F11 so we can see it even bigger. There we go. And this is the grass area. We've got the garden over here. And then this just allows us to have the layout. Now, I haven't measured anything. I've just kind of scribbled it, and but I feel like it's how I want it to be. So hopefully, and if I can actually find F11 to get back out, that'd be great. I'll press escape. I'm going to start putting some stuff in. I'm not going to actually spend all the time to do all of it. I'm just going to do a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically start the making what would be the very first iteration of this level, and then bits of it would be replaced as they were created bit by bit to actually make things. So I'm going to get a geometry box. I'm going to do let's do the grass. I'm going to that's hopefully roughly in the middle. I can obviously mess about with it as I need to, and I'm going to use the rather than using the scale, I'm going to use the size of the brush, which is the right thing to do for this, so the texture works properly for us. Let's expand that out a bit more and expand the Y. So it's roughly. So I wasn't far off being in the middle there. And I'm just going to bring the Z down to 10, and then if I press end, it should drop it down to the floor beneath it. Let's have a quick look. And then I'm going to drop it down another most of the way down, so it's just peeping out above there. And I'm going to apply a grass texture. There is a grass texture, as it happens in the starting content. Sorry, I keep saying texture when I mean material. And here's the grass, ground grass. And there we've got an area of grass. Hey presto, that's only taken me a few minutes. I'm also going to make just a thing for one of the buildings over here. It says hairdressers. We're not going to make a hairdressers. I'm just going to make a blob, a square. So once again, I'm going to use a box. I'm going to get in the middle of there, and once again use the size to stretch it out to be right. I'm not that bothered about my depth away from the wall. Sorry, from the road. See, this has gone grass because I've had the grass texture when I first when I created the box, but I'm just going to change the texture of the front thing. Again, I'm going to lift it above and then press end, which will drop it down to the floor level. And I haven't got a shop front texture that I can use or material, which is possibly what you do. You might have a better model and have it sculpted. So I'm just going to put some brick on there, some stones. I was just thinking about it, I hope. There we go. And then if we jump in the level, we've got the grass, we've got a stone bit over here. I've got a realisation that my lighting has given me quite a dark shadow here because I haven't got ambient light as well as the directional light going on. But when I get deep into the darkness, I can kind of see the wall here. Almost looks like there's some graffiti on there, but there isn't. But that would be easy enough to do. And yeah, so I'm not going to bore you by doing all of it, but I hope you can see the principle there of how you can very quickly go from something that you've drawn out by hand to actually getting a basic layout of a level. I want to say, as I do, that I'm doing this with geometry brushes, and this is a normal way of doing things for a quick block out of a level for the first iteration, but as time goes by I would expect to replace all of them with static meshes so that when I get a final product at the end there isn't a single geometry brush left in, because they are slow in terms of computation, and if you've got something like this which is static and not moving, static mesh is the way to go. Alright, so that's it from this video. I've got one more video I'm going to do in this series on level editing, which is going to be just talking about some speed issues, but that's it from me for now.